Mike Ciprari of SJC Drums, the co-founder. What's up, brother? How are you?
What's up? Good, man. Thank you guys for having me. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
How's everybody with the pandemic in the warehouse with the family? Is everybody okay? Is everybody safe? Everything's going well
Yeah,
with business?
yeah, everything's good, man. Hope the same for you guys. We're fortunate that everybody's good and we're able to work, and it's a little bit more difficult. We're in a mask all day, building drums and moving stuff around, but we're good. We're dealing with it.
I know we talked about this like a little bit before. It's weird. Like nobody would have thought like some business probably. Well, I guess some people probably thought it, but some businesses could have thrived through this. Like I remember before we talked to you, I was reading an article from Fender, and Fender said they had like their best sales in I think their company's history during this entire crisis. And it's like it makes sense, but it's crazy to think that people still like want to fall back and like they actually want to take the time to learn something and actually like something that takes a lot of time and a lot of skill. And it's just cool because like at least somebody's doing well, and obviously you guys are doing pretty well. So it's nice to see that you guys have kind of staked your claim as like we're COVID proof.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's cool. Like, we're a small and nimble company, and obviously, like you just mentioned, big companies like Fender can do well through this if you have a good solid foundation of a business. And yeah, obviously, the world getting a pause, everybody like stay home for a month or two. There a lot of people are like, I'm gonna go learn an instrument or take up a hobby that I never thought I'd have time for. So. Fender's crushing it, which is really cool. That article is really, really interesting to read. But yeah, we, like I said, we're small and nimble, and we were able to make the necessary changes, although there weren't a lot that we had to make, but we're small and we were able to kind of like navigate through this. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're doing well, thankfully.
Do you think that with the way this has kind of made everybody pivot into a different kind of business model in a way that you kind of like expose yourself, do you think there's anything from this that has permanently changed you, or do you think it's all temporary?
Changed me, like as just
or
us?
just like the company as a whole? But sure, if you want to answer that too with yourself.
I didn't know if you meant like the industry.
I gotcha.
Like just SJC, but no, I think that we are gonna continue this mindset that we're in forever. It was a really good practice for us to go, all right, let's really look under the hood and see what we can do better so that we can kind of build a stronger foundation. We've got a lot of history behind the company, but we've really had to look at certain things, and thankfully we didn't have to make any major cuts to personnel, but as far as like processes and things like that, just trying to be more efficient, so that we can kind of, be stronger. So if something like this ever happens again, or it's just good business practice, obviously, that we wouldn't normally done. And having the government tell us that we have to shut down and stay home for an extended period of time, it really allowed us to take a deep dive into the business. And yeah, I've definitely created new processes and thoughts towards the business that I think will continue on forever.
Yeah, and especially with since we can't really go out into any venues at all with the music industry closing down, because we were considerably the first ones to close, and we will be the last industry to open. You guys have been efficient in other ways with social media, and basically putting more into the yard sale. Which, if anybody has looked recently at the yard sale, that's my kind of vibe with the authentic look of those kits. So they look great. So I might have to take into consideration. But yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. Has social media been some kind of a interesting take on trying to promote more, since you guys can't go to NAMM this year, obviously, and such. So I'm sure that's like something that has to be taken into consideration with taking advantage of social media platforms and everything.
Yeah. No, that's something that we're really proud of, and that we've always been really strong. Our company and our generation is brought up with social media. Before some of our competitors had a MySpace or a Facebook, we did, and we were engaging with our fans, and that's really how we built the core of our business from the early days, like the early 2000s. And so we've already had a pretty strong, strategy, if you will, around social media. And we just amped it up during the beginning of the shutdown. We were doing a bunch of live streams. We teamed up with Smart Punk Records and Vans, and we were doing giveaways, and we were having acoustic shows on our live stream. But that's really the only thing different that we did. We always feed the monster, if you will. We're doing 4 or 5 posts a day, strategically timed, and we engage on every comment. If we can, we try to engage with every single comment, but we try to keep it interesting and fun and fresh. And building stuff with the yard sale, that was something that we used to do a lot. We're getting back to it, especially since we moved, and I found about 7 pallets of hardware and stuff that we just didn't have in inventory, or maybe had a slight blemish on it. Otherwise, it was a perfect metal shell that we were going to throw away. I'm like, let's just throw some hardware on this, and instead of it being a $900 snare, let's just sell it for $400, and some lucky drummer will get a really great snare that sounds as good as new, and he might not care that it has a slight little scratch on it. It still plays like it would brand new. So that's just some of the stuff that we've been doing more recently, but we've always done it in one way or another through the course of our history.
Yeah, consistency is key too with social media, and not a lot of people take that into consideration. So that's good that you guys are doing that. Because I remember
it's pretty simple, but it's funny how so many businesses, not even just in the music industry, but so many businesses don't seem to understand the ease of social media, where it's just like consistency is key. Like even if you're just doing 1 post a day or a few a week, just be consistent. And hey man, don't tell anybody that.
It's the business secrets, dude. It's the business secrets. Yeah, I remember your social media presence has always been very out there, because of the fact, like when I'm 28 now, so when I discovered you guys back in the mid 2000s, your website was definitely it looked fantastic, but you made all these good looking partnerships with brands such like Orange. That was like the first snare that really caught my eye. And then you guys had like the there was like between you and Truth, and I think like a couple other companies that were out there that were really only doing the custom brand drumming make and model. So I mean, it's just pretty cool to see the consistency over the years, even though it's more of a normal thing to do now,
right, in
these times, unfortunately.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
With partnering up with these brands like Orange or Jack Daniels, what's the idea process behind that? Like where do you guys, when you start building custom drums from scratch, where does the inspiration pull from? Is it like a team meeting like aspect to get the idea of everything and then collaborate and start putting the product together?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really depends on what the project is. Like with Jack Daniels or Belveni, the idea and the aesthetic from the beginning is, let's create a drum that has the same aesthetic as their whiskey barrel. So let's take the actual whiskey barrel and turn it into a drum and add the logos. And those are always really fun, because you're really using some out of the box materials that we don't typically use to build drums. Obviously, a whiskey barrel isn't typically a drum. So it creates some fun challenges that the whole team is involved with, troubleshooting, research and development phase. But yeah, those are a lot more kind of stricter as far as parameters go. It's not like we're going to throw, bright pink hardware on a Jack Daniels drum. The color aesthetic is pretty much there,
right?
With brands like that. But then, from the early days, I'm such a fan of obviously music, but art and fashion to a degree. And I've had some friends create some pretty successful clothing brands. And so back in the day, my buddy Johnny Earl over here in Massachusetts, he created Johnny Cupcakes t-shirt brand. And so we did some collabs with him. And then I just, being such a fan of stuff like Vans or, Arizona green tea, like who doesn't love an Arnold Palmer, Like I would just reach out to these brands and try and find somebody in the marketing department to be like, hey, can we collab and we'll make a drum with your theme. And we've done stuff with like Toyota when they were pushing the Scion brand.
No
way. We did Arizona green tea. We've done obviously Monster and Red Bull within the music community. And our big one right now is Vans. Like we're really tight with Vans, and we've got a few SJC drummer shoes coming out next year, which is going to be the first time that we've taken a collaboration like that and extended it beyond just building one-off drums. But the Vans stuff is just so fun, because obviously that brand as a whole is like, off the wall. Like they got some crazy aesthetic and color combos that you can throw together. So anytime we can create a drum set with them, it's just kind of like, let's go nuts and do something really fun, wacky colors.
Yeah, especially because we were on Warped Tour for a little bit, and dude, I'm pretty sure like more than 50% of the drum sets on Warped Tour were SJC. And it was like every time I turn around to another stage, there's another SJC kit, completely started from scratch.
Yeah, dude, we infiltrated Warped Tour that was my life. Like as a young teenager, just going to Warped Tour, and then I realized, like, I'm sure people have heard the story. If not, I snuck into Warped Tour with my brother, made a tent, displayed our product. I snuck backstage, talked to drummers and drum techs, and it was just like from there on every year, and especially once we got, officially in with Kevin Lyman, and we became a sponsor of the tour. It was, that was really cool, man. Obviously, rest in peace, Warped Tour. But those are the days, man. We had like 75% of the tour was SJC. It was so fun to watch.
So I think that's like the hardest thing when George told me that you were going to come on the podcast. The first thing I always think about is your market space, that anything instrument wise. I mean, it came from the Prophet episode. I mean, we talked a little bit about that. It's kind of like it was overdone, but the way that the gentleman from I think it was his name Dick Ash? Was that really his name? Richard Ash?
Richard Ash, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I looked
it
at
plays the role well.
Okay, so the thing I want to bring up with that is, and I'd love if you can provide insight for anybody that's trying to assert themselves in this industry, is with like these gatekeepers. We obviously are getting away from the gatekeepers in the music industry of allowing people with Spotify, streaming services, YouTube. You can become an overnight sensation just based off your talent, more so than you ever could in music history. With instruments, that's a completely different story. What kind of advice do you have to anybody that's potentially thinking about, this is what I want to get into? And do you think it is do you think that the industry is going to change, like how musicians are able to get their art out in their way?
Yeah, that's a good question. Are you talking specifically on the manufacturing side, or just like as a whole?
As a whole, really broad.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, and you're right. Like it's easier now than ever to be an overnight sensation and really, get traction online and gain a lot of fans and momentum. If the talent is there and the creativity is there. I'm a strong believer though in paying your dues and really building a strong foundation and understanding the learning process of going through making mistakes and failing, both internally and externally, failing publicly, failing internally, and learning from it and building those scars so that when you become successful, whatever success means to you, whether that's money, fans, freedom of, your choice to do certain things, whatever that may be, you're more likely to succeed in the long run if you have that core foundation. I've seen a lot of bands become an overnight sensation and then fail months later because, business and this industry is really hard. And if you are that overnight sensation without a history of learning how to fail, you're going to experience a growing pain at one point or another. And if you're successful, you're going to experience growing pains basically daily. If you don't have that historical viewpoint of learning, you're not going to know how to go through those challenges. Not that you become an expert on it, but our industry specifically, I've seen a lot of new brands in the custom drum space try and come out and make it over the past 20 years that I've been involved in this industry. And they don't make it because there are a lot of really difficult challenges that present themselves on a daily basis as you continue to grow. And so, I would just urge whoever wants to get a job or create a future in this music industry to don't be shy about learning and don't think that there's any cheat code that you're gonna create success overnight. If it happens, cool. If not, just keep crushing it and go towards your goals and your dreams. It's not always an overnight thing.
My thing too is we have a lot of guests on the podcast who have similar stories to you, where one big door, one big window opens, and then it completely is a snowball effect. The determination is really something that people should really take in consideration. I mean, considering the fact that you guys are now have a partnership with distribution with Guitar Center, and Sam Ash passed up on that, which is it is what it is. It happens, but that's not going to stop SJC. That's not going to stop you, dude. You know what I mean? So
yeah, totally. It's a big bummer, you know, the when we did the Prophet and the Sam Ash thing was on there. Yeah, it didn't pan out, but I wasn't going to let that determine the future of the company in a negative way. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to continue to try to do this, and if not, I'm going to try to make another partnership elsewhere to grow the brand and the business. And so, yeah, you just got to learn, fail, just keep doing it.
Yeah, and Josh Dunn's drum set is going to be the first showcase kit for Guitar Center. That's super rad, dude. What came to that decision? That's cool.
We're really excited. You know, we were in discussions with Guitar Center for over a decade of, you know, when, you know, getting SJC in their stores, and we did it really slow. I didn't want to rush anything. We wanted to really test market the product that we'd be putting in there and make sure that the quality and the demand was there. And so obviously with somebody like Josh Dunn, his signature products, that product crushes it. So that was a no-brainer to get into GC first, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the drum kit represents the new album, I believe, because they always change the color scheme every time they do that, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice cheating way to get free kits. That's nice. Listen, man, I need another kit. It's another color. What's up?
Yeah, no, but it's really cool working with Josh and designing it. And this past one was the most fun. You know, they had the blurry face era, as they call it, the black and red. It was pretty simple with the alien logo, but this last one with the trench olive and the camo pattern, and you know, not only was the aesthetic really rad, but he needed like 3 or 4 kits with some special like a ballad snare and things like that on this last kit. So that was really fun to go through the design process with Josh, and then get to the point where we could, you know, mass produce a kit with his name on it with that same aesthetic. So that was really fun. I'm proud of those for sure.
And I'm sure you already have a list of product that might be taken into consideration that would be distributed through Guitar Center, whether it's snares or other kits like that are signatures.
Yeah, we've got. I don't stop thinking. So I've got lists and lists and lists of ideas for a product, and now that Guitar Center's in the mix, I've got, you know, a 17-page document of product and marketing things that I would like to do. And when we can gather again and concerts are safe to have, I'm most stoked to have our Loyal to the Craft workshops at Guitar Centers. I think that's going to be really, really awesome, and something that hasn't really happened in this industry. So I'm pretty stoked for that.
Obviously, like your big thing is the custom market. So I'm just curious, based off of like, now that you've established yourselves, and maybe you've done this in the past, so correct me if I'm wrong, do you ever are you ever trying to push the boundaries of drums in terms of finding new ways to kind of push the barrier of it, or are you more focused on the artisanship of making the perfect drum? Like what kind of like, what is your motivation for that?
Yeah, great question. I've gone back and forth on that one. At the beginning, it was, let's just make custom drums and do it as a hobby and do it for fun. Then it turned into a legitimate business. And, you know, you have to do certain things to operate a business. You know, once you grow and you get employees and a building and all that good stuff, you know, that the motivation changed a little. We're like, all right, let's try and create some volume so we can create efficiencies and more demand, because obviously we have to sell to create certain revenue for your break even and all that good stuff. Fun business that a lot of people don't think you gotta worry about. And then as we grew and that the business became bigger and the demand was more, I got really into, all right, let's try and create an electronic drum, or let's do some hardware. And we got into, you know, creating stands and pedals, and we had 3 lines of hardware: an entry level, a flat base, and your typical heavy duty tripod stand. And then we were like, let's try and make our own drum shells. And I had all these grand ideas, and it really, a company like us, I realized I don't want to be the big guys. I don't want to have all that anymore. So over the past year, we've really honed back and gone back to the early day grassroots way of thinking. Let's just focus on the artisanship and be the best custom drum builder that there is, and continue to create that experience. As we tried to go in all those different avenues, I lost sight. I not only lost time of being able to worry about it and handle all of that stuff, I just lost sight of it. And not that I lost my care, but I just lost sight where I didn't focus on it as much. And so we've got a really great little niche in this music industry, and our segment of that industry is not a growing one. You know, acoustic drums is not a a growing market, such as Fender and guitars and even electronic drums. But for me to try to pivot and make SJC an electronic drum company, because that's a segment of the market that's growing in the drum and percussion world, just doesn't make sense for us. And that's not where my passion lies. So yeah, we're really going back to the grassroots and focusing on just being a small, nimble, custom drum company that, we've got our import product that we mass distribute and mass produce that will grow and be there. But the experience with our consumer and the customization that we offer, that's what we're good at, and that's where our passion lies. And so it's shifted over the past couple of years, but now and into the future, we're kind of scaling that.
Now that you know exactly what works and what, I gotcha. That's awesome.
I have to go through all those practices and learn and fail to realize that, hey man, like we may have been doing this for 20 years, but that doesn't mean that we have to change and act like we're some big business or have these expectations that we're going to be the next DW. Like I don't want that. I want to stay small SJC. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to stay closer towards like the tailoring aspect of each and every individual drum, which is great too. And I mean, for anybody that is like psyched for them to come, which I'm sure a lot of people are psyched for SJC to come through the Guitar Center, let's just not get our hopes up for the DeLorean kit. I'm sure that's really hard to mass produce. I don't know.
yeah. There's obviously crazy custom builds like that.
Oh, that's sick, man.
It makes me sad that our customers don't understand that. Just looking at that, it's like that's really expensive. Like not only materials, but that kit took like 3.5 weeks to build, which means we're not building anything else. And we give like discounts on that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. If it's a big band, then it's like, all right, this dude, We the Kings, they're headlining Warped Tour. That kit's going to get a lot of eyes. It's a marketing expense for us to a certain degree. So yeah, we're not ever going to mass produce that stuff. And we get quotes every day from drummers using our virtual kit designer. That's just like 7-piece, double bass, exotic veneer, high gloss lacquer, butcher hoops, lights, custom vents, and they're like, "Why is it $7,000?" I'm They're like, "My budget's $1,000." I'm like, "Okay, well, the Pathfinder kit is $799. If that gives you any inclination of like the price gap,
right.
The DeLorean kit or a 7-piece with all the options is going to be way more than that."
Do you ever get like when you see like an order come through the software? Do you ever just go, shit, like just because it looks like a beast to like overcome?
No, we love that stuff, honestly. Like we love a challenge, but it has to make sense for us to do it, again, whether it's a marketing expense or if the customer's going to pay for it. We'll do it. No, there hasn't really been any that come through. We say, oh crap, it's like, we're stoked to build drums, man. So anything that comes through, we're up for the challenge. We're like, all right, how are we going to pull that off? This is sick.
That's awesome. Danny Duncan, if you're willing to sell your drum set, please contact me. TheLiveMyPodcast@gmail.com.
A couple years ago. That's like a museum kit for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Who knows? You never know.
Who knows? Yeah, the designs just keep getting more like creative like every year. Like it's incredible. Like the Acorn kit from The Day to Remember. You know what I mean? It's just kits like that, just like they're out of the box ideas, and you just put it to the floor and you're able to come up with some product like that too. I mean, it was pretty obvious too. What I think I mean, I'm going to paraphrase what Marcus said as soon as he walked up to you guys in NAMM, but he was basically like, "These are gorgeous drums." Like that was like, dude, and like he's not wrong too. So I mean, like it's cool that you're able to have a reliable partnership with him through these, I think, like 5 years together as partners and such. And I mean, has he? How often do you talk to him? I mean, has he made like such an impact besides investing and helping with the turnaround time? I mean, does he still involve himself on like little tedious things? Like how's that been going with him?
We don't work with Marcus a ton anymore. He's grown so much since we even did our episode, and he's done certain things with his portfolio brands or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he really helped. It allowed us to obviously get a cash infusion into the business where we were able to get a lot of equipment and inventory. The surge of growth that we had then, it was a growing pain. It caused new problems to arise that we just had to work our way through, and we're still working our way through some of that. But it made it happen a lot faster than it would have had we continued going on our natural progression. So it was really cool. I'm glad we did it. It was a huge learning experience for sure. But yeah, we're not super heavily involved with him. I think he kind of like nurtured us at the beginning and was like, here you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for that to happen, how did that transpire? Do you like apply to go on that show, or do you?
Yeah,
like,
I applied. I just like, I was looking for an investor or a loan from a bank, and I like for a year I had gone to banks, put on my suit and tie, presented our business plan and everything like that, and it was really hard for us to get a loan, being a small business that never really had credit like that before. We never had it before, so that was really hard. And I'm such a fan of the show, and I would watch Shark Tank.
Well, yeah, I love that show, man.
Yeah,
All those shows, Bar Rescue, all that. I love watching them because I get to see other entrepreneurs go through things that I may have gone through, or I may be like, wow, I need to look out for that. This is a good idea to fix that. I would just kind of study. That was like me going to college almost, like watching those shows. So yeah, one night I applied to be on the show, and we got a call, and we were casted to be on it. And I was a little skeptical at first, because we had gotten asked to go on Shark Tank like 6 or 7 years ago, so a few years before the profit happened, and I declined to go on that for a few reasons, and I was skeptical of certain contractual things, if you will.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it was really cool. Like we got picked to go on the show. I went through all the casting, and then I flew and landed in Los Angeles to do NAMM in 2015. And I landed and turned my phone back on, and I got a voicemail from the casting department wanting to do something. I forgot what it was, and I called them. I was like, "Hey, I just landed in LA. Like, I can meet you guys at your office to go over all of this now." And so we did. And
Cool.
That year for NAMM was like one of my most challenging, because like we were really tight revenue wise. Like we didn't have a great year the year before. My brother and I were just at the tail end of our fighting and going through like the buyout, and it was literally my wife, one other person, and myself doing NAMM, and it was tough. So to have that happen and meet with the production company, and they were really excited. They were like, "Yo, we're gonna fly Marcus in now. We're gonna start filming at NAMM next week."
Nice.
That was crazy. It was a world of like going from months of casting calls and going through the motions of all the paperwork, and then boom, they're like, I didn't even know we were 100% going to be on the show, and they're like, we're starting to film in 3 days.
Damn.
God.
So it was wild, and we had to. I was drum teching for Rancid at that time, so I had a bunch of tour dates right from NAMM, going to Japan and going to Europe through the springtime of 2015, and they were like, cancel all of your travel plans. NAMM will just show up at your factory at any time. They're basically going to just surprise us. So they're like, you have to be at work. So yeah, it was wild, but yeah, it was cool.
So when you found out you were going on that show, like obviously we watched the episode, and I'm assuming most people that are going to watch this have watched the episode. For the discourse between you and your brother, like obviously that the show has to do a lot of theatrical stuff, and they have to make it interesting to watch. Were you kind of trepidatious to kind of put that out into the spotlight, into the public eye?
Yeah. That's my family, man. Like that's my family, and that's stuff that I don't talk about publicly. That was one of the first things I mentioned to them when we talked. I was like,
for sure.
They were like, "What's your story?" I told them my story, and obviously there's good TV there when you have family drama. But that was one of the first things that I requested. Was like, I just don't really want a lot of my family stuff involved, and it was such a whirlwind while we were filming. I mean, there was a lot going on. We were ripping apart the entire business, and obviously I got an investment from Marcus for almost $500,000, and I gave up 70% of the company for that. And it was an emotionally challenging and exhausting time, because not only were we doing that, but we were filming for 12 hours a day. I had a microphone on me at all times. It was a lot. I wasn't sleeping. I was very I was depressed. I was just sleep deprived. I was anxious. I was excited. I was every emotion. And
wow.
Then they brought my brother in one night at like 9 p.m. while we were filming.
Yep.
It came out, man, and like it is what it is. I didn't know that was gonna happen. My raw emotion was there. Marcus even he told the cameras to stop filming at one point because it was so bad. It is what it is, man. And just remember, everybody, like, you watched 45 minutes of basically my 20-year career with my brother, shrunken down into 45 minutes. So of course they're going to take kind of like the craziest stuff and splice it together and whatever.
Altogether, how much did they splice up? Like what amount of time was it? Was it a couple weeks, a couple days?
I can't remember, but it was probably like the first half of 20. I don't know, whenever the episode aired.
Yeah.
Basically take that time. I think, did it air in May, June, or July? I think it aired sometime in the
something
spring.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From January, from NAMM time, the second, third week of January until then, we filmed on and off.
Oh wow.
They would film and leave, and we'd think they'd be gone, and like obviously we're getting back to work, and then randomly I walk back into the factory at 5:30 p.m. and there with a couple cameras and like, hey, what's up, buddy? And I'm like, oh shit, okay, like here we go.
Wow, that's intense, man. Like I didn't think it would be like that. I thought it was like kind of like every day, like you know what you're getting into for the next couple weeks. That's crazy.
Yeah, we had no idea. And how I knew we were filming the first day is my office used to be in our old factory. My office was against a window that I could see the main street, like the Worcester Street that we're on, and it was like 7:30 in the morning, and I look out my window and 3 brand new RVs cruise by. I'm camping, and I'm like, oh shit, we're starting to film. Luckily, I go to work early then.
It's like an army coming in, man.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh shit. So like, it was on at that point.
Oh my god, that's intense. Like, yeah, that definitely seems like a whirlwind of emotion. Then, just like I didn't realize it was that much time in which they take a lot of the content from. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what it is for other episodes. I'm sure it varies, but yeah, for us there was a lot of filming that we did. We were going to New York, we were going to Boston.
Yeah.
I would get an email at Sunday night being like, Monday morning, 7 a.m. That's when we filmed the Sam Ash portion. I had no idea we were doing it. Sunday night, I get an email. Be in Brooklyn or wherever the heck it was at 7 a.m. tomorrow and wear a nice shirt, like a button-up shirt. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Sure.
Wow. That was like we talked about it already a little bit, but I mean, you said that you knew the buyer for Sam Ash for way longer than you knew, obviously, Richard Ash or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, Dick Ash.
Sorry.
But like, you said that it kind of was, it was kind of, I'm blanking on the word for it, but it was orchestrated a little bit.
It was, again, like I didn't know we were doing it. Like Mark wanted us to go and he wanted me to pitch the business to, obviously get a distribution deal in a store like that. But it I've seen that in a lot of the episodes where they'll fix the business and strategy and the plan, and they'll put the business owner in an opportunity to get a deal like that. So, Marcus is using his brand power with the Prophet and CNBC and being Marcus Lemonis to get those meetings. But yeah, I had known the other gentleman that was there, Al, for a long time. Our old business manager introduced me to Al a long time ago. We had made a few drums one-off for Sam Ash every now and then. But yeah, I was really excited for it because Sam Ash is a really cool store. It's as far as all of the stores go out there, it was a smaller, deal where it's, 30 to 40 to 50 stores as opposed to Guitar Center, 200 plus. So for me at that time, I was really excited for it because I was like, I think we can genuinely make something really cool out of this where it's a smaller, more attainable network. And we can supply that at that point in our business's career. But yeah, it was orchestrated, if you will. I put that in quotes, where it was like, again, tomorrow morning, go to Sam Ash in New York. Marcus is going to meet you there. You're going to pitch SJC basically. And it just didn't pan out. We did it for the show. Who wouldn't want to be on CNBC's The Prophet? So I'm sure they were like, yeah, let's have these guys come in here and we'll get some advertising. But it seemed like when the cameras went down and I would follow up that they had no intention of truly working with SJC, and SJC's not in Sam Ash. So that just tells you how that deal panned out. And I followed up 24 times to the point where I was like, I'm being annoying now, so I'm not getting any replies.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
It just didn't work out.
Yeah, that's me. Don't be me, dude. You know how many emails I send out every day trying to get some of these artists on, and I follow up, and like, this guy has only had like a couple people on. Let's not. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I totally know what you mean. And like the whole thing with I mean, the vulnerability is going to be there, obviously, and about I guess it's reality TV. But I just think from a business perspective, I think like what you did between the Shark and the Prophet was like definitely a bold move and very logical on your sense. And then
and the Prophet was for me a no-brainer only because comparing it to Shark Tank, you go on there, you get whether you're on there for a minute, 10 minutes, an hour is really up to the sharks. And,
God.
you know, that's really intimidating to be standing there, bright lights on you, 5 or 6 sharks asking you questions that I'm not, as you saw in the Prophet, I'm not a numbers guy. I don't know off the top of my head what our cost of goods sold is, what our exact revenue was, what our exact break even is, what our margin is. I don't know those things because that's not my forte. And going on Shark Tank, I knew I was going to get legitimately eaten alive, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, they do.
And then I might have looked like I might have ruined the brand's image doing that. But on the Prophet, you know, if you get picked, you're likely going to get an hour episode from that show where I knew I was going to be able to showcase the brand. You know, it went in a different direction than I thought it was going to go. Again, with the family dynamic, but I think it showed the brand in the light that, you know, we definitely aired some dirty laundry, but it showed that we're a small, you know, committed and super passionate brand.
Yeah, and not only, you know, with that television show, I mean, with Raw Craft, that also brought out like the brightest light within SJC, considering the fact, you know, rest in peace to a hero to many, Anthony Bourdain. Dude, like building that custom snare for Tre Cool was just like, and you know what's even more insanely like into detail oriented with how it went about? Like it's solely focused on the craft of everything that your guys do in the warehouse, like your woodworkers. And dude,
like, they did such a good job with that, man. It was amazing.
They did, man. I'm so glad and lucky. I'm so happy that we got to do that, man. When they called me to do it, and they were telling me about some of the other businesses that they were having on the show, like a guy was making knives out of melting down a meteorite and custom tailored suits using all these crazy materials and textiles. I was like, are you sure you want us on there? Like, we could totally turn down a drum like we did it with Jack Daniels, by the way.
Right.
Like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, this will be so rad. That was such a cool opportunity, man. And yeah, like you said, rest in peace, Anthony. I'm so lucky to have gotten to met him and hang out with him and do that. I mean, he was in our factory for a week building drums with us, drinking Balvenie. Like,
does his TV persona live up to the hype of what he is in real life off camera?
That's awesome.
That his mystique and his like roughness is just I was always on edge with him because I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna ask me next, and he's such a hated dude and he's such a confident dude that I was just like, I don't even want to hang out and talk to you because I just feel like I'm gonna make a fool out of myself because you're so cool. He definitely lived up to. He was the same. He was the same as, you know, what you see on TV. It was just like, what's up, I'm Anthony.
I think it was really cool for you, like talking to you, like kind of off the record with this stuff, like how it brought two parts of your life into perspective in 15 minutes. You said that you had, when we talked to you earlier, you had the Green Day poster behind you that was over your bed.
Yeah.
And in that episode, you're talking to like the artisan of artisans, the guy that kind of puts people that never get the spotlight. He gives them a platform, and you're getting this platform with him. He's showing the guys behind the scenes for you that kind of make SJC what SJC is, that would never get a chance. And then you see Tre Cool looking at the hard work and like the craftsmanship of this insane snare that I've never seen in my life. Like, it's incredible. Just to see those two things come together for you, like you could see the genuine pleasure that you get from that. Like that, like I showed my wife the other day, and we were both just like in awe of it. Like, this is incredible. This is so neat.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And I'm again just so lucky to have had that opportunity to showcase, you know, our passion in that style and at that level with, you know, like you said, with two you know, heroes, Anthony Bourdain, Tre Cool. Like, that was the coolest thing ever, man. And like, my wife and I got dinner with Anthony and then Tre and his wife. Like, and my son was there. My son was like 6 months old at the time, and like my little dude, I got a bunch of pictures of Tre, my kid, with Anthony. Like, so
Imagine that story you're gonna have with your kid when he's like 21 years old and you have your first beer together. Like it's gonna be like, dude, that's gonna be so crazy.
I got this. I kept this. Anthony signed this bottle for me.
Oh my god,
and,
that's priceless, man.
Not opening it. This will be the first I have with my son, like legit.
That's amazing.
Let's go.
We'll watch that episode and I'll be like, here you go, man. By the way, we drank a lot of these when we were filming.
It was probably an unlimited amount of barrels that came through.
One of the lugs on the first drums we made was a little crooked.
So we just went back to it and started again from scratch. Oh my god, dude, that's amazing. Yeah, hearing him many, dude, like I think he just appreciates the art behind tailoring to certain industries, which there isn't many of. So I think SJC being the one more prominent drums companies out there, that's just so cool and humbling to gotta be like working with that.
Yeah, you could tell he was like really into it, because obviously Anthony Bourdain has done a lot in his life. He doesn't have to do a show like that. Like he wanted to. You could tell he was genuinely like, so why are you cutting it like that? What does that do to the sound? And like everything we were doing, he was just like, huh. Even if the cameras weren't rolling, he was just like, huh. Okay, yeah, I get that. Hit it. Let me hear it. And like, just really cool. And then again, hanging out with him and Tre, like without the camera, talking about just like food and life, and like hearing them talk. My wife and I didn't say a word the whole time. We were just like, we're like learning so much right now. Wow. So cool.
Oh, my girl would freak out. She had like a birthday party literally just for Green Day, like when she was like 9 years old. Like to have Tre Cool, and dude, she would freak out. She was in that situation too.
How did that relationship like, because you've been working with Tre Cool for quite some time now, right?
Yeah. That was crazy, man. I obviously being a fan of Tre, he was one of my favorite drummers when I was a kid, and even now. I just one day went after it. Like I was chatting with my buddy Mike Fasano, who's a world-renowned drum tech. He does huge records. He's a Los Angeles-based drum tech. You know, he's done Blink-182. He's done a ton of the Green Day records. I was just chit-chatting with him on Facebook, and he was like, I'm teching for Green Day, their Uno Dos Tre record. I was like, that's sick. The studio is in Oakland, California, or was.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of studios now. They've got one in Newport. But anyway, they were recording their new record, and I just so happened to be flying out a month later to tech for Rancid. I did a bunch of drum tech work back in the day to just get out there and network and be with our drummers. And so I'm like, I wonder if we made some snare drums, if I could drop them off for Tre. So I'm like, yo, Mike, do you think I could do this? He's like, dude, for sure. So the guys created 4 really awesome snare drums, and we packed them up, huge box. This box is like the size of me, really, really heavy. I flew with it to San Francisco when I went out there for the Rancid shows, and I went out a day early and literally flew with this box, man. I'll make a long story short, as short as possible. But I almost got mugged because I'm on the BART, the San Francisco train station at like midnight.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy out there, man. It's
a really, really sketchy area, and I got this box of $5,000 worth of snare drums basically, and I got it. I brought it to the studio. Mike let me in. I dropped the snares off. I unboxed them, showed him. He's like, "Do you want to say hey?" And like, I didn't even want to like, and boy, I was just like, let me just have him check out these snares, and like, if it happens, it will. And like a week later, I got home, and I'll never forget it, man. I was visiting my grandma at her nursing home, and like Tre called me.
Whoa, he called you directly?
Yeah, he just called me. He's like, dude, like these snare drums are badass, man. Can I have them? And I was just like, yeah, dude.
Have them all.
Nah, man, I was hoping you'd send them back.
Right, and so it just kind of started there. Where like I dropped the snares off. He liked them. He used a few of them on the record. We ended up building him a few one-off drums because that record process for them was pretty long.
Oh yeah, it was like 36 songs. Yeah,
they were recording for a while. So we ended up building a few things, like again through Mike Fasano, and Green Day goes on tour for that record cycle, and I surprised Tre with the Twisted Bunny kit. I know Tre loves vintage drums, so there's a Kanan top hat kit that was made in the 60s that I love, and so I was like, what if we replicate that kit, but with the Green Day bunny and the TC shield, like the Buddy Rich style shield. Made him that kit, and I went to their show in Rhode Island and coordinated it with his drum tech, Kenny. at the time, and set the drum set up backstage. Tre didn't know I was there. He came in the dressing room and saw the kit, and he was just like, "Wait, what? Like, what is this?" And so, that was it, man. Like, we became friends. Like, Billy Joe came in and was like, "This thing's badass." His son Joey ended up getting a drum set, and it was just like this cool, like, friendship building.
Wow.
I ended up going out to California and hanging out with Tre, and where he lives, and we talked for a while. And then he flew to Massachusetts to visit our factory. Came in.
What a good dude, man.
Yeah,
What a
that's great time.
And yeah, he came in and like we gave him a tour of the factory. We went out to dinner. And the really cool thing during all this, like, he was starting to date his now wife Sarah, and we just became friends, man. My wife and myself and Tre and his now wife would just go out to dinner and talk and chat business and music and drums. Obviously, we ended up going to each other's weddings, and like, it was just this really cool natural friendship that built, where now Tre plays SJC, and like,
Wow.
weird, cool.
Yeah,
And it
surreal.
all started from a basement, man, and here you are.
Yeah, honestly,
That's crazy.
And you know what's so cool? I don't know if you saw it recently, but Billy, and Billy's kid has a drum set of SJC. He's jamming with his kids now during quarantine. Did you see any of that content at all?
It's so crazy.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I love it, man. And like, it was just like so cool. Billy's got a kit at his studio that his two sons got for him for Christmas one year, and like, we made Mike Dirnt a drum set. Like, everybody in Green Day and their kids have SJC. Like, what?
That's
Wow.
incredible, dude. Tailoring to the custom drums in general, with your business and everything, have you considered looking into other aspects of lucrative ideas, such as, like, I don't know, like accessories for drums? Because I know you guys have drum pads, and I know that you guys have a couple other things with your brand on it. But have you like for example, sticks? Like, have you guys ever thought of investing in like custom drumsticks at all, or any kind of like other relatable?
Yeah, I love that question. I love thinking about that stuff too, for sure. Like, again, being a fan of drums, I love that stuff. It's kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, like staying in our core lane. As much as I would love to do sticks and all that sort of stuff, there's other companies out there that make great sticks, and I just can't think that I can compete with them without the distribution network and the quality. It's such a big process to produce a quality stick that you're going to stand behind. Obviously, cymbal companies, stick companies, stand companies. We do practice pads, and we've got some really cool practice pads coming out in November for the holiday season. We've got a new SJC pad. We've got 3 Artist Series pads, pads like you've never seen before, like full color printing, like really cool stuff. And that project took like a year to kind of come to fruition. So the R&D process on some stuff like that is long. And so while I try and stay in my core lane and engage with consumers and create good content and obviously build quality drums, it's hard to focus on that stuff and find the time to do it. But I will say I'm in discussions with 2 pretty major licensors, if you will. Like, I'm going after 2 licensing deals where, at that point, yes, we will create cymbal toppers and stick bags and thrones and pretty crazy stuff. And I wish I could talk about it more, because both of them are absolutely massive. But you will see in due time.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, you don't want to give away your secrets, dude. Like, people are going to take, what you're trying to eat. Like, that's not cool. But
listen, you already gave away the secret about social media, so.
Yeah, dude, honestly.
People are trying to take it, because even getting these relationships took me like 5 years to create. So I don't think any other companies are even thinking about this type of licensing deal. So I'm not worried about that. I just like the mystique of like, oh my gosh, next summer SJC dropped a, insert really cool movie here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be a movie coming out about SJC eventually.
Oh, no. I don't know. Yeah, that would be crazy to do. I would love. We did a documentary. It's on YouTube. We did one like 10 years ago. Me and my buddy like shot and edited it. That was cool. I don't know if there will ever be a movie though, but that would be sweet. I'm going after a movie. License. You will see. It's
Who's playing cool. You, Keanu Reeves or something? Or?
No, not a SJC movie. Like, we're gonna make products based on a very popular movie series.
Oh,
dude, come on, man. You don't stop, man. You don't stop thinking. You're right.
I don't know.
All these examples and everything. Oh my goodness.
I literally don't stop. I sleep for 5 hours a night, and
Listen, the stuff that nobody sees is this Mike is just pounding away at emails when we're like in the middle of doing nothing on this thing. But Mike, I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, we've had to reschedule a couple times, but it's really a pleasure to talk to you just because you are the inspiration for a lot of people. To see somebody like your age doing what you've done and had the relationships that you had, like it's impressive. And anybody that's kind of on the fence about like chasing your dreams and stuff like that, definitely take a look at Mike because, man, you're living the dream, man.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. It's nice to hear that, like when you're in the middle of the hustle.
Sure.
It's a daily grind, and like you said, if anybody listening is unsure of whether or not to do something, just do it. What better time than now? Just start. You don't have to succeed overnight. It doesn't have to happen next week. Gradual changes, and that's why I continue to hustle and keep setting goals for myself a year, 2, 5 years out, to try and accomplish them and just continue working towards it. It's a daily thing.
Yeah, dude, and we appreciate you, coming on and like really expressing everything that has gone over the past, almost actually 20 years, 2 decades.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
thanks for helping tell our story, guys. I appreciate your support of SJC, and following along with our journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do something like in your warehouse as everything's going around the background. You know what I mean? Like, once this pandemic's
you guys
over.
Are close enough, when we can all hang out again and have fun without wearing a mask. I would love to have you guys up. We can do some stuff at the factory.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're eventually going to do this in person. But right now, we're definitely taking everything into consideration with COVID-19. Yeah, so it's not cool. So we're gonna keep doing this. But
it'll essentially be a podcast tour of all the guests that we've had over Skype. That's pretty much what it's going to be.
Just in person with a better background drop instead of this graphic in the back and us, me in my bedroom and Zach behind a chimney. You gotta go static, dude.
I classed it up.
That's pretty sick.
I classed it up, guys.
Nah.
I tried to do a big.
If I frame it properly, I can have just like that nice bridge. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
like you're not even in your office, dude. He's just hanging out in the middle of the woods. Like, just chilling. Dude, honestly, thank you so much for coming by. We really look forward to hearing from you and seeing what you guys have to unveil in the future. We're really stoked for it, dude.
Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for joining in, and we'll see you guys out there.
Yeah, stay safe. Thanks, brother.